Hello. Okay. There we go, dudes. There we go. Now, see how much I got left. I get these. Okay. 500 on that. Have 5,000 left on this one. Now, where do we go? Okay.
Use this tool to weld loose railings. It takes just 2 seconds to weld a spot. And
we kind of had the first polling that shows us how people are feeling. And I thought some of the numbers were quite interesting. Let me start with right track, wrong track for the country. In the NBC News poll, they looked at November of 2024. And only 27% of Americans thought the country was on the right track. Fairly close election, even though, close in the states, not that close in the Electoral College. And this recent poll shows that in March of 2025, just a few months later, people are feeling pretty good. And the right track, wrong track is now 44% of people think the country is on the right track. That's quite an increase. And as a Democrat pointed out to me today, he's like, but that's not everyone. I'm like, yes, but you have to admit it is better. And Republicans are looking at President Trump that has his highest approval rating that he's ever had. And the country is giving him some time to work through the things that he said that he wanted to do. Is that right? Yeah. Is that right?
I think that's a pretty decent take. Like, the trajectory's pretty good. For people's assessment. Now, the trajectory is good partly because the bar was extremely low with Biden, right? Mm-hmm. The bar became, is there a functioning president? So I think to the extent that Trump is getting quite a bit of leeway, some of it is from that. And it is from the fact that people see an energetic leader, right? He's out there talking all the time. And as a contrast to Biden, I think people are very happy to tolerate a lot of his energetic intentions for a while because they were given the example of an executive who they didn't know what he was doing and was behind closed doors all the time, not really answering to anyone. So I think that's like, I call this the Democrats' baseline problem. Like, they have to admit where they were and what they were offering, like, before you can assess how people are assessing Trump. The other part is, I think elite media and people in this town get it wrong about the baseline problem. They don't understand why people find Trump appealing. They don't understand why people find federal bureaucrats unsympathetic. They don't understand why people feel like the government was out of control before Trump. So they don't assess properly how normal people assess Trump. That's always been an issue, but I think it continues to build.
Just to compare and contrast Trump's good numbers with the Democrats' like almost record low numbers at 21% approval, 27% approval. Like, it's really, really bad. But one of the things that was very visible very quickly was how President Trump was able to get control of the border, which was tied as the number one issue in the election. It was the economy and immigration. And in 50 days, they were able to shut the border down. And it really makes me think back to how many Democrats said, well, we couldn't do anything because the Congress didn't pass a law. And President Trump has shown that is not true, which is why today we are looking at a plane load of what the Trump administration said were Train de Aragua and MS-13 gang members who were here in the country illegally, that had criminal records, and they were deported to El Salvador. There was a judge that said, wait a second, turn that plane around. The administration said no. Much more to come on that front. But I think if the left believes that Americans are going to be upset, like strongly upset, that the Trump administration got a plane load of criminal illegal aliens, gang members out of the country, they're going to be wrong again.
Yeah, I think even in these liberal cities, Democrats are on the wrong side of this issue from their voters in those cities. There's a place like, I mean, you're familiar with Denver.
Yeah.
Denver has spent tens of millions of dollars, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. At one point, it was like 10% of the municipal budget of Denver was going toward illegal immigrants and to house them and to feed them and get all these things.
I remember when they had to shut down the pickleball course because there wasn't enough money.
Well, and that's
Denver
what
wasn't
happened.
happy.
They were taking rec center money for citizens and turning it over to non-citizens. When you have that kind of dynamic and you add safety problems for people's neighborhoods on top of it, and the fact that many of these cities will not cooperate with deporting even violent criminal aliens, you're not even winning over liberals at that point. Mm-hmm. Many liberals are like, ooh, this is not good at all. So I think, yes, Donald Trump has a masterful way of making people go to bat for things they should not go to bat for. And Democrats will take him up on it on criminal illegal aliens, it seems. And I think he's won massive victories that are widely popular on this issue, partly because his acting so quickly highlighted that Biden did not act and that he absolutely could have.
And what do you hear? I always love to ask you about the moms because she is a mom of 4 beautiful children. How's the potty training going, by the way?
Oh my gosh. Well, the little one just showed up the older one this morning, so maybe she'll get her act together.
Okay.
He was like, I can do it.
He can do it. But what do you hear from moms on the inflation, immigration? I don't know if people get too in the weeds on tariffs, but how much room does President Trump have on the economy with those folks?
Yeah, I think, look, there's less room on the economy. Like, I think he already won on immigration, basically. Like, people checked that box in their minds, and this is why I think you and I have talked about this. This is why I think the media has been focusing on DOJ, because they saw that people weren't reacting to immigration news and to the weepy, sad stories that they wanted to tell. So they moved on to someone else, federal bureaucracy. I do think when it comes to tariffs, maybe people aren't in the weeds, but they do get the sense that, like, oh, is this going to work out for my family and me? Is this a plan? Is this something that's going to cost me more money? Those questions linger. And I think because that was his, number 2 promise, or right up there with immigration, was cost of living issues. If that doesn't shake out in mom's favor, many of them who were soft supporters or giving him leeway might change their minds fairly quickly. So I think you have to be careful of that. My circle of friends here, I think, is a little bit distorted because this is like the capital of federal bureaucracy. So people's lives are more affected here by things like DOJ cuts than they are in other places.
Yeah.
But I think in general, the economy, not necessarily the government cuts, are where moms are going to get off the train quickly if things don't turn around. But I think we've seen some fairly decent, promising numbers on inflation in the past month. So I think the American people judge less quickly than the media in Washington, D.C. does.
Yeah. You mentioned that about D.C. I talked to a friend who went to a playground on Capitol Hill where they live, and 3 of the parents that usually meet up and
File with confidence at free. show for tonight. By the way, we were on a break for a week, and I got my hair did. Looking pretty sharp. By the way, Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat from the great insurance state of Connecticut, will be joining me later to talk about how the Democrats are... Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you something. It is Trump's world, and we're just cowering in it. Over just the past few days, Donald Trump deported hundreds of Venezuelans to El Salvador, despite a judge's order, extraordinarily renditioned a pro-Palestinian Columbia student with a green card, declared that CNN and MSNBC should be illegal. By the way, I'm not against everything he does. No. But perhaps most impressively,
yesterday, the president played in a golf tournament at Trump International Golf Club in Palm Beach County. He later took to social media to announce his championship win, calling the victory a, quote, great honor.
Oh! He won the tournament at Trump International. How did that happen? This dude's whole life, he's like the Make-A-Wish Batman kid. Hey, look at that, Donald. You caught all the criminals. Look, I'm opposed to anyone rolling back American democracy, but I do tip the cap to any 78-year-old winning a golf tournament. And by the way, still having enough energy left to stroll into the command center in his golf attire to bomb the shit out of Yemen. Yeah. Now look, anyone can bomb the shit out of Yemen after 9 holes, but 18? By the way, when he did that shift at McDonald's, did they just let him keep the headset? Is that? While they're bombing the shit out of Yemen, he's like, hold on, I got fries at the drive-thru window, hold on. By the way, by bombing Yemen, Donald Trump continued a presidential tradition dating back decades. It may have been what the Wright brothers invented the plane for. How much better do we have to make this for it to be able to reach and bomb the shit out of Yemen? But fear not, because Democrats put on the back foot finally have an opportunity to stand up and show their dispirited party they still have the principle and the backbone to face down this wannabe tyrant.
Republicans need at least 8 Senate Democrats to reach the 60 required votes, or the government's going to shut down at midnight tomorrow night.
Oh, shit. It is on like Donkey Kong. It turns out the Byzantine Senate rules have presented a golden opportunity to the minority party, because the budget the Republicans are proposing is a non-starter.
This is a terrible CR.
A bill that is designed to hurt the American people.
It would cut by nearly 50% funding for medical research.
To take away nursing home care from millions of our seniors.
There's more than $1 billion of cuts to veteran benefits.
I'm voting no.
I will be a hard no.
Vote no. Hell no.
I am even more hell no.
Can you be more hell no? Is that like, hell no? H-E double hockey stick? By the way, like, who's this dude fooling? You know that salty language isn't you, Merkley. Dollar in the swear jar. It's H-E double hockey sticks from now on. But this abomination of a budget shall not pass. Because, Senator Schumer, please remind the people what is necessary.
Republicans do not have the votes in the Senate.
You don't have votes. You need congressional approval because you don't have the votes. Because the filibuster requires... I only saw the play once. You see, Republicans, your little evil budget plan might have worked if you hadn't forgotten that one Senator Schumer is Charles in charge of the Democratic Party.
Waiting instructions.
I'm afraid your diabolical scheme has been foiled.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer set off a firestorm heading into this weekend when he changed course and announced he would vote to move forward on a Republican-backed funding bill.
Turns out you had the votes. Republicans had the votes. What the happened?
I will vote to keep the government open. I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country, to minimize the harms to the American people.
But you had said it was terrible. And wait a minute. Oh shit, I know what's going on. All right, I know what's going on. All right. Yeah, you had me going, Chucky. You probably got a little something out of this, didn't you, old C-shoe? You wouldn't have given up that powerful leverage on the budget for nothing. My guess is Chucky got some cheese.
Did Schumer get anything from Republicans in exchange for those Dem votes?
He did not.
Wix gives you the power of AI to build the website you need. With full business functionality and a design tailored just for you. Customize every element of your website.
Senator Schumer, no disrespect, but you are a disgrace to Jewish stereotypes about financial negotiations. That's just... I thought the whole point of us is that's what we do. But you're out there, how much is it? $5. How about I give you $7? Like, what are you doing? And for those of you who may have felt like this was a total capitulation, Senator Schumer just felt like this wasn't the moment for Democrats to press their case because Trump is still too strong.
When he went below 40% in the polls, the Republican legislators started working with us. He was at 51, he's now at 48. We're going to keep at it, keep at it, keep at it until he goes below 40. When it happens, I am hopeful that our Republican colleagues will resume working with us.
You're going to keep at it, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. And what? This was it. This was the it that you would have been keeping at. The keeping of the it. It's not the keeping of the it. That's the issue. It's what the it. Don't you have to start it to keep at it? If this wasn't it, then what is it if this not be it? But apparently the grand plan is Dems keep fecklessly complaining until the 48 approval comes down to 40, which is a plan, but it's forgetting one crucial piece of information in Schumer's popularity calculation.
Devastating, cascading poll numbers for Democrats. Only 27% of voters have a positive view of the party, the lowest favorability rating in the history of NBC's polling.
Confirmed penetration.
You've got to get Trump to lose 8 points of popularity just for you to get to the point where you're 13 points below him. Your approval is only 7 points above, where it turns red and goes into low power mode. Maybe you're not a numbers learner. Maybe a visual demonstration of where you're here. Let me meet you where you live. All right, here we go. This is not. I'm going to do this. This is 48% approval. This is them. This is you. This is you. 27%. This is them. Oh, I see. They're much higher. Yes, they're much higher. And if you keep this up, you'll be wearing these on your dick. Do you understand? Perhaps I'm being too hard on myself. Although I am not. Perhaps he has insider knowledge of a quiet, smoldering Republican amenability to compromise. Perhaps underneath that hard shell of Republican intransigence is a soft, nougaty center of responsible legislative leadership waiting to be freed. Bargains! Driven in the hallowed yet marbled halls of power. Or maybe someplace mustier.
I talk to them. One of the places I told them to go in the gym, you know, when you're on that bike in your shorts, panting away next to a Republican, a lot of the inhibitions come off.
That's your plan. I'm gonna dangle my balls out of my shorts and maybe at the gym. Oh, you know, they're gonna lose all their inhibitions on the equipment. You know, actually, Chuck, I would like to work with you on Medicaid reform. And also, I never told anybody this, but I once jerked a guy off in a park. Oh, this elliptical, I just lose my inhibitions. And you know, I would probably be just a skosh more receptive to Schumer's theory of gym-based negotiation strategies if it had worked the last time.
We talk to our Republican colleagues all the time. I talk to them all in the gym. When you're a 60-year-old on a bike panting in your shorts, the inhibitions sort of fall away.
You know, I'm not here to costume show. But for a guy who seems to be spending most of his life in the gym, a little less talky talk, a little more core. Second of all, in the gym, they're only being agreeable with you because they leave them alone. In the gym, on the stationary bike. Oh, sure, Chuck, yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. But I have to tell you something. Pedaling really hard and not going anywhere, it's a great metaphor for the Democratic Party right now. Really. Also ball sweat. But for some reason, there is a persistent fiction within the Democratic Party that if they just hang out with Republicans in the gym or wait out Trump's popularity or give them concessions on a continuing resolution they said would harm the country, that Republicans will finally see the light. The Democrats will be rewarded with productive bipartisanship, or, as they put it,
this fever will break. All this excitement about Donald Trump, it's going to break.
So it is like a cult. The fever will break.
Is this the night the fever will break?
A chance to break the fever.
I believe at some point soon the fever will break. I think you're going to see the fever break.
President Obama saying, quote, "Now I believe when we're successful in this election that the fever may break."
Depends upon you.
if someone's been running a fever since the aughts, that's not a fever. That is their default resting temperature. This fiction that you are inventing, this idea that somehow, they'll come to their senses, it allows Democrats to keep thinking that Republicans are actually the ones in the precarious position.
They've got a very narrow margin in the House, a bit bigger margin in the Senate. And their goals are internally conflicting.
They don't have the numbers.
Republicans need Democratic votes.
It's going to be clear they can't pass anything without Democratic help.
Congress won't be able to keep the lights on, let alone pass anything of substance, without the buy-in and blessing of House Democrats and Hakeem Jeffries.
It's a great message, except Republicans have gotten everything through. Every crazy appointment. The guy who wrote the children's book on Russiagate runs the FBI. Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Weekend Fox and Friends guy. They all sail through. Literally, the only one that has failed so far is picking a Chucky doll that runs on cocaine and Viagra for Attorney General. And that's just because the Republicans personally hated him. Probably for something he did at the gym. Look, you You don't understand. These Republicans are committed to a plan born of ideological 50 to 60-year project to remake the United States, and classifying it as a fever excuses you from having to propose an alternative, coherent vision and allows you to pretend that this is just an issue of messaging and not merit. Boy, are Dems busy fixing the messaging. Ambitious Democrats have a new game plan. They're going to yak it up about sports and go on more podcasts or whatever the hell this is.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs. Get ready with me while I explain to you how House Republicans are trying to give away your health care to give tax breaks to big corporations. Last week, Republicans introduced their budget resolution.
Since when has your mom been so carefree?
Enjoy the confidence of filing with H&R Block's 100% accuracy and maximum refund guarantee. Maybe a little too much confidence.
I'm sorry. I'm having difficulty focusing on what you're saying because I'm terrified that you're a hard yellow light away from getting ready with Dan Crenshaw. Obviously, that was not meant in any way to diminish Congressman Crenshaw's service and how he was wounded in Afghanistan.